Woodworkers love overkill. Even on the simplest projects, we want to find that perfect piece of wood. Sometimes we want beautiful curvy grain that calls attention to itself, but not today. Today we want straight grain because we're going to manipulate the heck out of it. We're going to cut it up into dozens of tiny pieces and glue it back up to size. And just to make it a little more complicated, we're going to use multiple species for visual contrast. So I'm here at KenCraft in Toledo, Ohio, picking up some Sapele mahogany and some maple to make a set of overly complicated coasters. And this video is brought to us by Squarespace. The meat of these coasters is going to be mahogany, but I want a thin accent layer of maple on top, so we're going to laminate them together. I have been told that gluing up different thicknesses like this can cause warping, so I'm also gluing on a sacrificial piece of plywood on the bottom that'll get cut off later. Would it warp without the plywood? Maybe, maybe not. But woodworkers love overkill. Is this too many clamps? Maybe. Woodworkers love overkill. I'm making these coasters with 12 segments, similar to what a wood turner would do to make a vase. In fact, I have this piece by one of my favorite artists, Kyle Toth, and I think it's because of this piece that I like to use mahogany for segmented turnings. Although, this time I'm not going to turn these coasters on the lathe, at least not this part of the coaster. You see that? Let me zoom in. That little gap right there is going to haunt us in the future. That came out so good. I got enough for 4 coasters, as long as I don't screw anything up. This is a little trick I learned from my wood turner friends. Only glue up half the segmented pieces at a time and then sand the face flat and then glue those 2 halves together. That will make up for any errors in my angles. For the top of these coasters, I'm going to pull some inspiration from this bar mat we have. I'm a sucker for repeating patterns, and this gave me the perfect opportunity to learn the radial repeat function in Illustrator. It's hard to believe I've been using Adobe Illustrator for over 25 years. I graduated with a degree in graphic design back in 2000. Where does the time go? We've encountered a fatal flaw. The top layer here was not glued on good enough. Apparently, we didn't overkill the glue up. I think I waited too long to get clamps on there, or I didn't use enough glue, but it's all popping right off. It's all just coming undone. I'm gonna let this finish and see what happens, but we might have to shave off the maple that's on top here, and it's just gonna be solid mahogany. I'm a little bummed. And that's exactly what I did. I ran the 3 remaining coasters through my drum sander until the maple disappeared and glued up some more segments so we could still have a 4 coaster set. This time I didn't need to glue the plywood to the bottom since it doesn't have the maple accent. Although, looking back, I should have done it anyways just because woodworkers love overkill. So back over to the Stepcraft router with the same pattern, this time without the maple accent. why, but that is so fun. I'm brushing it on there because I want it to touch all the little pegs. So it has that like surface tension and it kind of eases down into the bottom. For the base, we're gonna take the mistake piece and use this. We're gonna put a little mahogany dowel in there and all the other coasters will sit on top of this. I could go and buy a mahogany dowel, but woodworkers love overkill. So I'm going to turn one on the lathe using this piece right here. And while doing so, I'd like to tell you about today's sponsor, and that is Squarespace. I've been using Squarespace for over 10 years, and because of Squarespace, I don't have to worry about code, cloud, the back end, none of that anymore. Squarespace has always been easy to use, and it's now even easier thanks to what they call Blueprint. With Blueprint, it's gonna ask you a series of questions up front, and while you're answering them, it's going to build your website in the background. I'm not even joking. So by the time you're done answering the questions, your website is already built in the background. Squarespace even has AI built in to help you populate some of the pages. It's gonna ask you what kind of tone that you want. Maybe you'll use the AI text, maybe you won't, but at least it's a starting point. You can see what your page is going to look like with text on there. You can sell both physical and digital items on Squarespace, which is what I do, and they have third-party integrations. I use a company called Printful for all of my print-on-demand shirts. It integrates seamlessly into Squarespace. So visit squarespace.com, and when you're ready to launch, visit squarespace.com/makesomething for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you, Squarespace, for allowing me to make these crazy videos. Let's get this installed in the base and finish this up. Even though we're going to use the mistake piece as the base, I didn't think it had enough visual weight. So I cut up a bunch more segments, glued them up, and it's going to get laminated to the base. I also decided to use what's left of the maple as an accent for the base, as well as the feet. So we did find a use for the maple, just wasn't part of the original plan. That's how woodworking goes. Not everything goes as planned. My favorite part of any project is adding the finish. This is always so exciting. The segmented pieces, they just look so good when you get finish on there, because you get the contrasting pieces, and man, the way it hits the light. I want to thank my Patreon members for encouraging me to make the videos that I want to make instead of what the algorithm wants. I had a lot of fun making the music and editing this one. As always, be safe, have fun, stay passionate, and make something.